I'd like to call the Select Board meeting of
January 30th.
January 30th, 2023 to order. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second, the motion is seconded. The motion is for to go into executive session. Need a roll call vote. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. We will go into executive session and expect to be back on board here at 6:30 p.m. To call to order the Select Board meeting of January 30th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we honor our veterans, both past and present. Thanks very much. Please be seated.
Mr. Chairman. Never mind.
A full house today, everybody. Thanks for coming. We have signed the warrant and we're ready for appointment 6:30 p.m. Farm and Coast Market, change of alcohol sales hours request. Who is here? Right into the microphone. Introduce yourself, please.
Okay, my name is Mimi Powell. I'm here for Farm and Coast Market. And we're asking that the Select Board consider making alcohol sales earlier on Saturdays, which is the case in other towns, I know. 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock would be great. We open at 7. We're very, very busy. Local people like to shop before the market gets crowded. People are anxious to get out on their boats, and it would just be very helpful. We lose lots and lots of sales.
You want to clarify that all, Mr. McGinnis?
Yes. So Farm and Coast wants to start selling alcohol. Currently, it starts at 9 a.m. They would like to change it to 8 a.m. We checked with the ABCC. The Select Board can make that decision because state law allows for alcohol sales at 8 a.m., but currently all our licenses are for 9 a.m. So the board can make a decision on this license alone in any capacity, whether it's certain times of year, whether it's all year, but it can't go before 8 a.m.
Can't go before 8. Okay. So that, the state law must state 8 o'clock. And what days, are we talking every day or
Just Saturday.
weekend, Saturday, Sunday?
Saturdays in particular. I don't know if you would automatically change it on weekdays as well. That doesn't matter. I know that it can't be changed on Sundays.
Okay. So
And, excuse me, so would this be seasonal?
That's up to you. Seasonal would be an improvement. Year-round would be a big improvement.
I think it's also clear that we're talking about this on a case-by-case basis. If we have other stores interested, they would need to come back to us to ask for whatever specific request that might be.
Right. I'm not sure if it's pressing in all areas, but because of where we are and because we have such a seasonal population, it is Saturday mornings are of importance particularly.
Questions? Anybody else? Mr. McGinnis? Mr. McDonald?
No questions. I do have a motion.
I was gonna say that. Good.
No question.
Go right ahead.
Make a motion that we approve Farm and Coast to sell alcohol on Saturdays, starting at 8 a.m. from the Saturday before Memorial Day to the Saturday after Columbus Day. If you're looking for like you said, the summer boaters, so there's your season.
Right.
And
Once more,
take a
say
look
that
from
again.
Yeah.
Say that again.
it'll be to approve an 8 o'clock on Saturdays only, from the Saturday prior to Memorial Day to the Saturday after Columbus Day. That's the boating season.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Have a discussion or questions? My question would be, is there a reason why we would restrict it, not just make it 8 a.m. year-round, or?
They're basically, the reasoning behind this was for the boaters, and she said Saturdays. So I'm giving them the space to show us that, I don't think there's a reason to have it on Monday morning at 8 o'clock.
No, I meant just Saturdays
Oh,
year-round.
just,
that's
yeah,
all.
no.
No, the reason is for the boating season. This is the boating season.
Okay.
I mean, this is in Florida where the boating season is year-round, so.
It's what they asked for.
Walk.
Oh, Frank said something.
Frank said.
I said it's what they asked for.
Okay. Well, it was an open, I thought, it might sound like an open request in terms of whatever we thought was best, so that's the motion on the floor.
You have a second.
And
We
seconded.
have a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
none? We'll draft it and get it going.
Thank you very much.
We got plenty of time to do it. Okay, thank you very much.
Comes quick.
Okay, next, new business. Whoa. Police assignments and reassignments. The big cheese is here, so that's good.
Three big cheeses.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have two separate requests this evening, so I'll start with the first one. Sergeant Peter Canuel is requesting reassignment to the rank of police officer. It's a voluntary decision that was made by Sergeant Canuel, not associated with any departmental discipline. If this is approved, it would obviously create a vacancy within the rank of sergeant, which I'd be looking to fill. I recommend that Sergeant Canuel's request to be reassigned to the rank of patrol police officer be approved.
We need to
And
vote on that.
before I moved on to the second issue,
Okay?
if I could ask the board to act on that issue, because it does affect
Sure.
the next
Any-
issue.
Based upon the request by Sergeant Canuel, I make a motion that we grant his request to be reassigned to the rank of police officer.
Second.
Second.
Second, okay. We have a second. Any questions or comments before we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
I hear none.
Thank you. All right, so based on that reassignment, as well as the resignation of Sergeant Scott Lake, we currently have two vacancies for the supervisor sergeant's position. I'm recommending that the board promote Officer Mark Vachon, the number 2 ranked candidate on our promotional list, and Officer David O'Caranan, the number 3 ranked candidate on our list, to the rank of police sergeant. If approved, these appointments would result in the bypass of the number 1 ranked candidate. The details of my bypass recommendation are specified in the letter that I have provided to you. Some backgrounds: Officer Vachon has been a police officer for 16 years, has received numerous letters of commendation, and been bestowed the department's commendation award for his role in apprehending an intoxicated suicidal subject armed with a handgun after he had fired several rounds inside of his home, February 1st, 2020. Officer Vachon is a long-standing member of the Dartmouth Police Honor Guard and has been recommended for this position by his shift commander, Lieutenant Keith DaCosta. Officer David O'Caranan has been a police officer for 17 years, received numerous letters of commendation, and has been bestowed the Department Commendation Award for his actions related to searching inside of a burning home for occupants on December 28, 2020. In addition to his patrol duties, Officer O'Caranan serves as a field training officer, firearms, and use of force instructor. He served 8 years in the Massachusetts Army National Guard, holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, is also a long-standing member of the Dartmouth Police Honor Guard, and has been recommended by his shift commander, Lieutenant Brian Sladewski. I request that the board promote Officer Mark Vachon and Officer David O'Caranan to the rank of police sergeant.
Sounds like we have a show of support.
I'll make that motion.
They do.
I'll make a motion based upon the chief's recommendation.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hear none. Congratulations. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all for your service.
Where are they?
Okay.
Can they come up?
Soon to be sergeants. Over here.
Congratulations. Be careful. Congratulations.
Okay. That's the way to do it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody, be careful.
Stay safe, please.
You gonna speak on that?
Chris Michaud.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda, the Bliss Corner EPA request for stockpiling location. Mr. Michaud is here, I believe.
There he is.
Here he is. Most active man in town, I think.
Good evening. Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health for the town of Dartmouth. So this agenda item pertains to the Environmental Protection Agency's ongoing work in the Bliss Corner area. They're requesting access to the former Dartmouth Police Station on Russell's Mills Road as a comprehensive use rather than a partial use. At this point in time, they're utilizing 85 McCabe Street for some of their operations, and because of limitations with that site and the need to get going on the 5 properties, they entered into agreement to clean that property for the partial use of it. So now that they're wrapping up their operations, they're looking ahead into the next calendar year, and they're requesting the town permission to utilize the former police station as a single base of operations for all of their soil needs, managing the soil for temporary storage from the properties as they prepare it to ship off-site, as well as their clean soils. I have been to their staging areas during adverse conditions to monitor their controls, and I have been extraordinarily impressed with the EPA. I've now learned what a federal project is. When someone says, hey, don't make it a federal project, that's actually a good thing, because they go through extraordinary measures to get it done right. I've been out there after the most, ferocious windstorms, rain events, looking for erosion, the controls like the tarps coming undone, and I have not found anything to be concerned about. So, without this use, I know that last year they were looking for use of other properties, and they were not able to obtain any outside of that 85 McCabe.
So for clarification, they're gonna take the material they dig, they're gonna move it to the old police station, and then they're gonna remove from there to off-site.
Correct.
And they're gonna have different piles and different covers, and it's gonna be driving through the streets, Russell Mills Road down to the area.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to just make a
Yes,
comment
go
that
ahead, Lee.
I went on a site tour with Mr. Michaud some months ago, and I was very impressed even with the care that the EPA took about with the trucks going in and out of the site and what they had set up for them to make sure their wheels were clean upon exiting the site, which was, as he said, on McCabe Street. They really took the time. They have gauges monitoring the particles in the air. It was, if that's a federal project, as you said, it was well done.
Okay, Mr. Mickelson? Mr. Mickelson?
Yeah. So who better to police their own work but the EPA and the DEP, considering the work they do presently, considering your observations? I'm in favor of that.
Mr. McConnell?
At least it's the EPA and not the DEP.
Two out of three letters are the same, so we gotta be careful.
Also, Mr. Michaud had included pictures of the locations that the EPA had finished,
Looks like a golf course out there.
and they're so well done that you'd have no idea the danger that those locations were in. They take extraordinary care. So anything we can do to make their process continue to clean those, the sites in Dartmouth, that we can do to make their life easier and continue the project, I think we need to move on.
Mr. Gracie, any comment?
No, I agree, and I think it's a good thing. So I would make a motion if one hasn't made already that we allow that.
You just did.
And I'll second it.
Okay, second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I hear none. That one is approved. Next, we have Mass DEP Title V Amendments Update. Mr. Michaud.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health for the town of Dartmouth.
Thunderstorm.
So what I'd like to start is with the concluding of the public comment period. At 5 p.m. today, the public comment period closed. However, that doesn't stop the public from contacting Gary Moran, whose email you can find on our website. You're concerned about these regulations, then I encourage you to contact him. We also have the governor's constituency hotline number on our website. I continue to remain engaged and contact that number. Because what I fear is that they're going to use the sunsetting of the public comment period and the lack of noise, as one of the subcommittee members likes to call it, as an approval mechanism. Well, look, the public's died down. What's encouraging is that more and more people are expressing themselves. And I got a letter emailed today to me from Senator Mark Montigny, and that is available on our website. And the content in there is pretty damning on DEP. Additionally, I also received an email just a short while ago from the Mass Association of Boards of Health. Ouch, is all I can say. Because they had two attorneys who authored the letter, and they offered harsh criticism of the department as well. What I'm afraid, though, is that despite all of this, they've remained silent on some disturbing components to this whole thing. The first is Commissioner Suberg's June 1st letter, when he was disingenuous about why he was doing this, and he never disclosed that he was doing this because of the litigation. The second is when they try to appease the public by saying they reached out to cities and towns in the summer. And that wasn't a sit down and how do we figure this out. That was, we're going to do a watershed permit or a 5-year approach. It wasn't, you know, we want your ideas and how we could formulate a strategy on this. That was it. And what we know is that was a requirement as part of the stay order and the structured settlement timeframe. We also know that on August 30th, I requested records of who the stakeholder committee was, and it took until December 7th to find that out. When someone asked in November for that information in one of their informational sessions, they told the person, submit a public records request. We also know that they've been ordered twice by the Secretary of State's office to provide the town with records. So right now, we have another order by the Secretary of State in which they've been told, you have to provide records. They've used their attorneys to stall the production of records by asking for fees. They've also not responded to the Secretary of State when an appeal was opened by the town. Then we have it's an ad hoc committee. It's an EO 562 committee, what is EO 562? That is Executive Order 562 of former Governor Charles Baker, and that was put in place in 2015, in which he undertook that order upon all agencies to examine their regulations. It expired on March 31st of 2016.
Wow.
So when they tried to argue that the stakeholder group that the subcommittee sourced from was meeting in accordance with EO 562 on October 8th, 2020, apparently they forgot to look that the order expired 4 years earlier. But interestingly enough, that order has, I think, paragraph 6 to it, and it says any new regulations, they have to provide an economic impact report to make sure there won't be any devastating economic consequences on cities and towns. So if they were operating under EO 562, let's see it. We also have filed the open meeting law violation, and we have also asked for commissioner appointments on the people that were on that organization, on that subcommittee or committee, and none exist. Why that is important is because in 310 CMR 15.040, which is a component of Title V, Mass DEP regulated themselves to having an advisory committee that would report and would work with Mass DEP and report to the commissioner on the implementation of the regulations and any revisions that they would recommend. That is a public body. It is prescribed by regulation, and it also serves a public purpose. So they didn't follow their own regulations that they are now changing. They want all of you to follow. That's hypocritical. We talked a few moments ago about Bliss Corner. Kudos to John Handrahan and Lori Williamson and all the support staff at DEP that's making that happen. That is excellent work. And what's a problem here is that we've got this other side of DEP in Boston, in the wastewater section. And this is some of the most rotten and corrupt government that I have seen in 27 years of public service. This is inexcusable, and in and of itself should be a reason for DEP to come out from hiding and say, we obviously need to start over again. This is not about the technical side of the regulations or the science or the age of the reports or any of that. Everybody that I've talked to, the hundreds of people I've talked to, all agree that they want a better Dartmouth, because Dartmouth or wherever they live in, the people, I've talked to people out on the Cape, they all realize that nitrogen is a marine pollutant. They all realize that the equity in their homes is established in the community that they live in. They don't want a worse community, but they need a proposal that's realistic to the means of the community. And stop calling the community, you know, the homeowner versus the town. Who is the town? The town is the people. So last week, when I was kind of going through our comment letter that's now online, I realized what a shame. It would have been nice to sit with a balanced group of people, because I really believe in less time a strategy could have been put forth that would move the needle faster, because the way these regulations are for us here in Dartmouth, DEP is telling us it'll be 3 to 5 years before we call you a nitrogen sensitive area. Then there's so many months to apply and so many years to get the permit. Well, that could be 10 years. I thought it was an emergency. I thought we need to act quick. We got 10 more years of harm done. And for the town to do anything local to try to get ahead of that, I say, be cautious. There is no grandfathering except under one provision in these regs, and it's arbitrary. Because if I have a system that had an advanced treatment unit that's 13 months old and you had one that's 11 months, yours is fine, mine is not. They're the same design, the same functionality. That's arbitrary and capricious, and that should be a warning to don't jump out of the gate early on these regs to try to do the right thing. We have to sit and wait for DEP to get around so we don't put our residents' investments in harm's way. And that's too bad, because we get people that are reaching out to us saying, what can I do so I don't have to worry about this? I had a gentleman last week that said, I want to sell my house and I don't want the buyer to get stuck with this problem. What can I do? I don't know, because DEP doesn't know what they want. So before I close, I just want to note one thing. You know, it goes back to some of the comments that have been made by the public and their concern about some of the, you know, the lopsidedness of the subcommittee. I don't fault any of the subcommittee participants for that, because they all serve a role. I fault DEP for that, for not recognizing that they didn't have a balanced group. And what's really interesting is we know that one of the subcommittee members, who is on the subcommittee, represents the APCC. And yesterday in the Boston Globe, they took out an ad along with a number of other conservation groups, and the CLF. So it's almost like the defendant and the plaintiff took out a co-advertisement in support of these regs. Because as an NSA subcommittee member, he's a DEP official. But he's wearing a different hat this time because he's operating under the APCC. It just gets back to more clouding of a process that's been shielded from public participation and been very disappointing. And I'm really hoping that somehow or another that Mass DEP realizes how poorly they've done this. So that's about all I have to say. Can I answer any questions, or if anyone else is here that'd like to talk?
Comments from the
We have
board?
a lot of people.
Hang on. Let's hear from any board members first, if anything, and we can open up. We don't have the time we have, but if someone has something they really want to say, but any board members first?
Yeah.
Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. Yesterday, during two absolutely obnoxious football games, you tell I'm not a fan of the Chiefs or the Eagles. I was thinking about this and what I can discuss today, and there's a couple things. First and foremost, I think it's imperative that the region, and I mean the region as far as select boards and Board of Health, have a discussion with the governor's office as soon as possible. She needs to be brought in on this, because I don't think there is a politician, especially at the state level, who wants to start off an administration where it's going to affect her constituents to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think she wants that on her plate. So I think we need to press for something like that. If it's with her, fine. If it's with her staff, fine, because it's eventually going. I know she's aware of the situation, but she has the ability to stop this. And we gave her that, or I should say, that open meeting violation gave her a way out to restart this whole process. But the one thing that bothers me the most, we're all elected, and people who have been elected choose because we want to make our community better. And there are times when decisions that we have to make, sometimes they're the hard decisions, but it's got to be all for what the betterment of the community is. What DEP is doing here, it's making us choose between the homeowner and the taxpayer. The homeowner, there's only 2,000 in town that are going to be affected by this. The taxpayer, there's 4 times that. So where is this going to lie? The easy decision is to say, well, it's on the homeowners, see you later. Town's not going to get involved. But that's shirking the responsibility of making the town a little bit better and putting it squarely on the town. And the town is going to be spending millions to where it's might have to upgrade its septic system, where it's going to have to put in additional sewer, upgrade the septic, the system, the plant. Now you have enforcement. Now you have to hire a couple more people to find out about whether or not the watershed and stuff. It's not fair. So the problem is that we don't want to become, and I think we have become, to be honest with you, the boy that cries wolf. And we're not bringing a process to follow that up on. So what I think, and with the conversation that I had with Chris, I think it's incumbent upon the town to form a committee to look at what DEP has failed to do to bring in somebody like Mark Rasmussen from Buzzards Bay Coalition to discuss, to have a centric point discussion of what can be done to reduce the nitrogen in this area and hit all facets of it, not just the 14% that says comes from septics. Let's talk about composting. Let's talk about, and I mean talk. Let's have a healthy conversation about composting. Let's have a healthy conversation about fertilization of everybody's lawns. That's going on at my house. My wife said to me, she says, you fertilize? I said, yeah, I do. Low nitrogen? Probably not. But now I'm going to be looking for it because she's going to be on my butt about it. Okay, so there's some change there. But let's also have a healthy conversation about agriculture and other places where we can have this discussion. And let's come up with a sensible, common sense approach to this where it's not going to nail people who have been living here for 30, 40 years that haven't upgraded, all of a sudden have an upgrade. Now all of a sudden they're going to upgrade even more. But also to protect their interests, to protect the town's interest, everybody's interest. So I think that's very important that we start developing that discussion as soon as possible, because as Chris said, we're not in their, whatever you call it, sights.
Line of
Thank
sight.
you. We're not line of sight right now, but we're damn close.
We're next.
We're next. So if we beat them to the punch, and if we sit down, if we come up with a sensible approach to that problem, how are they going to say theirs is better when it's not? So we need to sit down and get a discussion with the governor's office as soon as possible, and also start looking at a sensible approach of this completely.
Mr. McDonald, I'm glad those football games were lousy. You came up with something.
Yeah, believe me, it was background noise, and yeah,
I'm sure there was a lot of swearing going on.
I may be watching the Super Bowl just for the commercials this
Okay.
year for the first time, so.
So point well taken, and not to rehash, I think most of you people were at that meeting, not last Wednesday, the Wednesday before, and a lot was said. It was a dog and pony show. It was all prearranged, just as what has gone on from the beginning. This is a bailout for Cape Cod, period. There's so much money involved down there, and they thought that we would just go along with it, but we're not going to go along with it. We're going to find a way to get to the governor, for sure. And all these letters that I'm looking through that have been sent in, we need to stockpile them, put them in an envelope, put it on a PDF file, just these letters, and not just personally send them to the governor, have our legislators bring the PDF file to her, the letters itself, let her read them, listen to the comments that these poor homeowners are going to go through. And lastly, they also want to pit the homeowners against the town. That was their whole plan. Everyone said that in the beginning, they just rushed to judgment. I'm telling you, this group never rushed to judgment. This was all planned. Very thoughtful planning went into this. But they want to make you feel like, well, maybe it's not this, maybe it could be that. And they go like this, but they're after us. And I'm not going to stand for it. Thanks.
Mrs. Brooks?
I wanted to thank Mr. McDonald for putting his thoughts out, because I think it's really important to make sure that we are not pitting town needs versus those homeowners. The fact that there are 2,000 people with septic who are in the sites, but we as a town need to look at what are we individually doing that is contributing to a problem. Whether it's the composting issue, the fertilization issue, we need to know what is our impact, what is our footprint in this process. So I think that is an excellent idea set forth by him. We all own this. This is our town. What happens to one is happening to all of us. Thank you.
Mrs. Gracie? Anything?
I agree completely.
Okay. I would just add that we had a pre-meeting a couple of weeks back, and we invited surrounding towns, and we got some unbelievably thoughtful people there from Westport, from Acushnet, and I think that banding, they're in the same boat we are. They're on the same coast as the Buzzards Bay, and they have some experts there as well. And one of the things that bothers me most about this, and I'm no scientist, and I thank God we have Chris Michos of the world to help us out, but they've said to us that the septic system they're recommending has maybe a chance of a 50% positive effect rate. If we state, instead of being a bunch of whining crybabies and saying we're not going to spend this money, as they've done in the Cape's gone 20 years of making plans and making noise. And we have a witness to it all right here, and they now have nothing. Well, we as a town, I think we're smarter than that, we got more dignity than that, and we want clean water. So we as a town can say, these nitrogen septic systems, the capital system will take care of itself. Let people go out and invent these and improve these systems so in 5 years from today, they really work. Because let me tell you, when they work, there's thousands and 20 and 30 and 40 and 50,000 homes are going to have to be done. So it's worth it to find these. It reminds me of the coronavirus and the shots. I mean, they found a way to get it done. This is the same sort of level of necessity. In the meantime, we put together, as Mr. McDonald so well said, these areas that we can do something and do it and make a plan. Maybe with other towns, but we can make a plan and show that the EPA and the world and the DEP and the governor that we are serious about cleaning it up, but do it in a way that makes sense rather than waste our time and money. Sir?
Let me just, the other thing too, it's not so much the regulations that really bother me, it's the process.
Mm-hmm.
And the more information that we have found, the June 1st letter, the Conservation Law Foundation lawsuit, the timeline that was in that lawsuit, the more and more you see what's going on, the more and more you see they're just basically placating the lawsuit. This has not been, they haven't been upfront with the communities. And this isn't just a Cape and Island issue. This isn't a South Coast issue. This is a statewide issue. There are 23 watersheds in this Commonwealth. 23 watersheds covers 95% of the state of Massachusetts. What's going to happen out in Quabbin? What's going to happen out on the Connecticut River watershed? What's going to happen all the way out there? Not too many municipal systems are out there. Those are all septic. And, and this is where it bothers me the most. All of us who have sat in this seat, I believe, have always tried to make the best possible way to live in this town, and have tried hard and tried to do the right thing. And then you got a process like this, which just absolutely stinks and puts all of us in the same boat as them by saying government stinks. Well, no, it's not government stink. This agency stinks. Period. And that's where it's pissed me off because of that. Because I know what I do. I know how long I have tried to do the best to make the town just a little bit better every day. And then these guys come along and destroy years of goodwill. And that's where it gets me the most, and that's why I'm really PO'd about the whole thing. So,
Mr. Michaud.
So yeah, on trying to come up with strategies and identifying it. Certainly the town's letter, 42 pages, 1,100 and something pages in total because of the exhibits that attach to it. Really gets into that and kind of segregates nitrogen in a community in southeastern Mass in a block by block manner. It talks about nitrogen in terms of this set of regulations and that set of regulations and this set of regulations, that set of regulations. And why I mention all of that, and I'm not going to get into boring you all on which code and that code and this code, all comes back to controllable nitrogen. Nitrogen that is going into these watersheds is both controllable and uncontrollable. There's some things that we can't stop. So when we look at the controllable nitrogen, the 14% of controllable, the 14% of nitrogen coming into the Slocum watershed from septic systems expands because there are sources that we can't control. So I think it's on the last or the second to last page of the town's letter, there are pie charts. And we separated out controllable nitrogen in the two major watersheds that'll be second on DEP's list, that where the 2,000 or so homes are. The Slocum River watershed and the Westport River watershed. The Westport River watershed has 40% locally controllable nitrogen. 60% of the remainder of the controllable nitrogen in the Westport River watershed is exclusive to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we're all being told that we're the problem. I've heard it from the Conservation Law Foundation. I've heard it from one of the NSA subcommittee members, Mr. Gottlieb, that it's the towns that are the problem because they didn't do anything and they were complacent for too long. When we look at the Slocum River watershed, the numbers flip-flop. They own 40% of the controllable nitrogen. So how is it that a town goes into a watershed permit, but DEP doesn't? They don't want to do their part. The town's letter clearly exposes that. And what they want to do is continue to bury their head in the sand on some of their programs that have popped up since this report even started, like composting. They acknowledge that composting is a new source of nitrogen pollution in the watersheds. They acknowledged it in writing in 2018, Exhibit 6 of our letter. They mentioned it again and again. We gave them pictures. What did they do since that time? They amended the regulations to send more waste product to the composting operations. And they're offering grants as of November of last year in the amounts of $25,000 to $100,000 to for-profit companies to tool up to bring more waste to these sites. So they're promoting pollution in our watershed. So I do think that there's two parts. I like, Selectman McDonald's idea. I think that's a pretty big endeavor. In the meantime, what I'd like to do is I've been kind of, I've talked to a lot of people. I see that people have some great ideas. I've actually reached out and talked to some of the advocates on this as well. First started back in Barnstable in November. So I'd like to continue some of those conversations to see if there's a way in which we have commonality in strategies that we've heard from the public. And, probably provide another letter if there is commonality.
Okay, I know that there may be some people who want to make some comments. If you have something to say that you think is really important, and you can limit to a couple of minutes, I'd appreciate it. If you want to raise your hand to come forward, we'll try to keep it organized. Yes, sir.
I had a conversation.
You'll have to go up to the microphone.
That way,
Unless you're screaming.
that way the millions of people at home can see you and hear you.
Just
Want to introduce yourself, please?
My name's Mike Letourneau. I live out on Hicksville Road with my wife. I only found out about this the first week in January. So we went to the UMass meeting, and then I went to last week's meeting. And I wrote the comment stuff up today. And this is not, the way I look at this, and I bounced this off my wife. I see this is not just our problem. This is going to spread all over. You can do what you want with 15% of the people, but you know what? That only reduces things by 15%, right? And they want 75, 100%. So I was talking to another gentleman who said, you know what? I want to see the guy. I want to be there when that guy's trying to explain to everybody this didn't work.
He won't be there.
I look at it as this is going to spread no matter what between the Bedford, all the coast, The bay's just a mess, I guess, and we're going to try to clean it up. It's everybody's problem. The uncontrollable stuff, agriculture and all that, I'm sorry, but that's gonna have to take a hit too, somehow. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but
Great, thank you.
anyway.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else want to raise their hand to come forward?
Buddy.
Christopher Fay.
My name's Chris Fay. I'm a resident of Dartmouth. I want to start by thanking the Select Board, the Town Administrator, and especially Chris Michaud for really putting forward a very comprehensive letter to DEP in response on behalf of the citizens of Dartmouth. I've expressed some concerns to you folks before at a previous meeting on the 19th of December. And back in that meeting, you know, that was, I think, getting the ball rolling on the regional roundtable that happened before UMass. I'm thankful for that. I wish we would have had that in motion a little bit earlier, but there's momentum building there. There's clearly a common denominator between a lot of neighboring communities. You know, in the spirit of collaboration, you know, that's something we're looking as residents, and I think you as town leaders, the spirit of collaboration is key to addressing an issue like this. That has been absent throughout this process with DEP. They've been operating in a vacuum because they are kowtowing to a special interest group and the CLF as a result of their lawsuit. So, you know, in response to that, you know, I've said this before, and you know, I thought I thought I walked away on the 19th of December with a feeling that there was some consensus with the board that a legal option really needs to be pursued on this. And I can't emphasize that more at this point in time, that I think we really need to engage on that front, to posture the town and to show, you know, the DEP and the other folks working behind the scenes that the town means business on this. You know, Chris has done an excellent job collating a ton of information for the town in which us to base our letter on and have an informed citizenry. But this is where lawyers really come into play, and in particular lawyers that deal with the CLFs of the world and the DEPs when you have clear government overreach as well as a very compromised process. It's very clear that they've had an open meeting violation when you read that CMR language, and they're basically dancing around it. They wouldn't answer questions. They had a public information meeting at UMass Dartmouth, yet many of the questions that were posed, they danced around it. They just could not come out and respond to that, including one that I had about the NSA subcommittee that said you could find information on the FAQ section of our website. Get to the root of it. Why wasn't there full disclosure on these participants? You know, we have to wonder, where is their next fight? Phosphorus, forever chemicals, that's not on the table. But you see that stuff in the national news, and phosphorus has another contributor to some of these toxic algae blooms that happen in a lot of the freshwater ponds and whatnot. They've been asleep at the wheel for a long time on nitrogen. When are they going to wake up on these other chemicals and do a comprehensive review of these environmental regulations and potential options for mitigation? That's where a lawsuit comes in. We need to prompt them to do their duties, to be the stewards of clean air, water, and land. They've been asleep on this for a long time. I know the CSO issue is up next on the agenda. Just last week we had a lot of rain. We're still seeing the remnants of that because it hasn't infiltrated yet. We had 3.77 million gallons of CSO discharge alone out of outfall number 3 in Clark's Cove. That's one event. There's tens of millions of gallons in that single outfall alone that are polluting Dartmouth's entrance to Apponeonta Bay, our shellfish grounds, the ability to fish out there. I've explained to you before that being a recreational fisherman, I've got to find other waters to go on because I'm not going to go out and fish in waters that have, you know, raw discharge like that. It's disgusting. So I'd like to hear what the board has to say regarding a legal option. Do we have a slush fund or a rainy day fund that could be tapped into? I certainly have a recommendation from the industry on a lawyer that's well-versed in matters with CLF and DEP, down the Cape actually, that I can offer up. And that's not the only option out there. But the time is now. We're already behind the 8 ball because, again, the fix is in on this whole process. And once these regulations get adopted, I have no doubt that they will, we're in trouble. We're really, really working from behind. I applaud the ability to sit down at the table with other groups, like Director Michaud had mentioned. That's a needed thing, but I do think we need to get ready on the legal front. So I'd appreciate your thoughts on that.
I can provide update on the legal front. So we've talked to our town council in depth about this issue, and he's very well aware of it. Right now, what they're proposing is a policy change, and they're just proposing, so they haven't implemented anything yet. Once the changes are implemented, he would look into taking some sort of legal action, whether it's individually with the town or collectively as part of a regional action. So we're just waiting for that. He can't do anything until actually something's been done.
Okay.
So the most powerful would
following
be
it.
a class action lawsuit. Not just by the town of Dartmouth, but by surrounding areas, which we met with quite a few people that were involved in it. Those are the type of people that have to get involved, and homeowners, in class action lawsuits. It's more powerful, and it's perfectly legal.
Okay, I understand. Has there been any due diligence done with our town attorney, Mr. Savastano, in regards to putting feelers out there to identifying who might be a complementary piece in outside legal counsel, someone that specializes, in these types of regulatory issues? I know Mr. Savastano has done wonders for us with the Cecil Smith landfill issue and other endeavors in town, but this may require outside support. So have things been set in motion to at least get the feelers out there on who we may have for resources out there in the legal business?
Definitely, yes.
Excellent. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have to say. Again, thank you so much for,
Again,
working for the taxpayers on
Chris,
this.
I think you give us a qualified homeowner approach with the experience you have, then I think that we appreciate what you're doing. You're listening to it in a thoughtful way, and we continue to listen to what you have to say and follow through, because I think you're a real advocate for the town. So thank you too.
I appreciate that, and I'll leave you with I've given you a copy of my comments too. Thank you very much.
thanks, Chris.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
I'd like to make a statement about Mr. Michaud's letter.
Yes.
Very comprehensive. The letter itself,
Which 1,200 pages?
exactly, was educational for me, comprehensive, and he's also looking at making those connections with those other agencies. Most notably, the Buzzards Bay Coalition,
Yep.
who has a vested interest in the direction of this. And I think whatever we can do to make sure that the new governor and lieutenant governor are aware that all the communities of Massachusetts are going to be impacted by something that,
Well, interestingly enough, I have a brother who lives in Tampa, and the Ocean Conservancy has taken on the same project in the giant Tampa Bay, all about nitrogen, and they've been doing it longer than we have. So this is something that's been happening all over the world, for sure. And it was the Ocean Conservancy who put the threads all together. And I've had a couple of conversations with Mr. Rasmussen, also from Buzzards Bay, and I see his tone changing dramatically over time. I think, as Chris has always said, he's been part of that coalition to get the original regulations going, but I see something there that could end up to be something important for us to put together.
Yeah, so, I have been in contact with them a few times. I still maintain contact with them because, we've been working with them on something like composting for a number of years, and that's supposed to be ongoing. So, if, one of the select board members wanted to attend one of those, I think it's great, kind of gets things going quickly, because really,
I'd be happy to.
see where we can find common ground.
Okay. Anybody else on the matter? Oh,
Please don't try to read the letter more than 6 pages in one night. I even start just getting foggy, so.
And don't try
It's
to
a
read it
lot.
on your phone.
you had to find a couple of bad football games to be all set. Yes, sir.
Just as a, this is for the people who are here, and this is for the people at home, and these are for the people who will be reading the media down the line. Just because January 30th at 5 o'clock, the comments end, you still can contact the governor's office. I would do so tomorrow.
Okay.
Even if you send the same letter that you sent to DEP, send it to the governor's office. And actually, send it to the Attorney General's office, because she's going to be involved in this too, especially when it comes time for the open meeting law and how DEP is going to handle it. Because if DEP kind of ignores it, let me just say, you know, it has to be addressed legally somehow.
Okay, well, the next subject was kind of, we weave into the, it's quite similar, unfortunately.
From
but
one
the-
area to another
That's it.
crapper.
Our response to the New Bedford CSO notifications. That will bring up Mr. Michaud again. You all know him now.
Here comes another 800-page report.
Anybody who's acting leaving, thank you for coming. We hear all your support, and
David, give it a minute.
And continue to stay
Hi, Chris.
abreast of what's happening.
we'll hang on a couple minutes, Chris, all right?
He's not going anywhere.
No, actually, we got 1 minute for anybody who wants to leave, can leave. That way it's, you know, give everybody a
Mr. staying?
people are saying.
Mr. Riley?
Hi, Mike. Good, how you doing?
Okay.
See what you're missing?
I'm sure you're happy.
Round Hill Watersheds, no, okay, not tonight.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, Mr. Michaud.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Christopher Michaud, Director of Public Health for the town of Dartmouth. So this agenda item pertains to the City of New Bedford's sewer system.
Or lack of, yeah.
Last year, regulations went into effect that required sewer system operators or wastewater treatment plant operators to come up with notification plans. Our Department of Public Works has one, but we have one based on a modern plant design. We only have sanitary sewers. We do not have combined sewer discharges. Combined sewer discharges are common in older cities, especially that in the Northeast. Essentially what it is that the street drains are connected in with the sanitary sewers, and when you get certain rainfall events, it will trigger these discharges rather than the sewers backing up into the houses and or the streets. But they still discharge to the environment. So in response to this long-standing problem in Massachusetts, a law was passed by the Baker administration and the legislature a few years prior, requiring DEP to come up with these regulations known as 314 CMR 1600. The first aspect of these regulations went into effect around July of 2022 with draft notification plans, and almost within a few days we received our first notification from the City of New Bedford advising that CSO 3 went off. This came as news to me because the only CSO that I was aware of that the city had was the one across from Burger King at the very base of Clark's Cove. It used to be a soccer field that people used to play in. It's now all fenced off. We knew that there were a number of upgrades there, and we never received any notice of any other locations or discharges from even that one. Since that time, we've realized that CSO number 3 seems to be the horse to bet on. If it rains, that seems like the one that's going to go off. There's also CSO 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 ringing the New Bedford shoreline of Clark's Cove. These notification regulations require New Bedford to come up with a plan as to how they're going to notify when their CSOs discharge. One component of the notification plan is to place signage at certain locations, public access points. There is a question on the page, on page 3 of 5, in which it asks, have you contacted the local Board of Health in the receiving waters of your CSOs? They said yes. They haven't contacted us. We have 5 beaches, and we have a public access point right on the line with the boat ramp and parking area that also serves the community boating center next door. They have to put signs. Now, there's a part of the regulations that's a little confusing, but to me it's clear. It says that you don't have to put up signage if it's a beach and the beach has a sign. But that only pertains to when the beach is in operation. And all of the environmental justice aspects of these regulations that require different languages are not reflected in the bathing beach regulations. So it is my position that they do need to provide us with signs. They have not contacted us. This final plan that has been submitted to the Mass DEP is a problem. And more importantly, we've attempted to reach out to the city through Mass DEP on a number of occasions, including at the November public hearing in Barnstable, when Millie Garcia Serrano was the hearing officer. And I advised her that they have deprived Dartmouth of DEP services because we have requested repeatedly a meeting, and they will not follow through. I even know that some of our legislative delegation has reached out, and for whatever reason, DEP will not pull through. As recently as the UMass Dartmouth public hearing, I said to Millie on the way out the door that evening, after the informational session ended, I said, Millie, we need to talk still. I'll call you tomorrow. Never called me. So now we have no choice but to fire back against this plan and hope that DEP will do something. Unfortunately, I'm not so confident because this set of regulations falls under the wastewater section. So we've got a public beach right at the base of this. We did some response-based testing last year, and it's not easy to come up with a model by which we're going to get through the next couple years so that we can say, well, it's probably safe after this point. There are too many variables in these waters, such as wind direction, tide, lensing, freshwater versus salt. The freshwater sits up. Temperature, rock jetties, which acts as incubators. We, in one instance last year, saw follow-up testing fail repeatedly. So tidal flushing wasn't purging it out, and that was at our Jones Beach. So this is gonna bring added costs to the town. And New Bedford's response is gonna be, well, some of the discharge is coming from Dartmouth, but they're the permittee. So we reached out to the EPA because DEP wasn't assisting with getting us a meeting with New Bedford, because I wanted to learn more about the consent order. So a gentleman, I don't remember who it was, at the UMass Dartmouth informational session mentioned how, hey, if you're concerned about nitrogen and water quality, why aren't you doing anything about this, DEP? And they gave the response that I thought they would give. Well, there's an EPA consent order. Well, we've looked at the EPA consent order, and I can understand where the city's coming from, where they went after those low-hanging fruits to look for, illicit connections, means of trying to reduce the volume. And from what I understand from the EPA discussions, that they're already well underway with looking at some of that. But yet, the discharges continue, and they seem to continue with the same frequency as they did back in July, with every rain event, or nearly every rain event. So the EPA consent order is a many years long order in which the city is going to make varied upgrades throughout their sewer collection system. As I've looked at it, there's nothing in there about significant infrastructure changes that all directed to CSO3. So at this point here, if they haven't identified anything, I'm not too hopeful that per that consent order, that's going to last probably beyond my time. It's going to bring any changes to the frequency of discharge. So we wanted this, I asked that, the board talk about this tonight, because if we end up with just a normal rain event, never mind summer, like the one, if we have one like the 2 years prior in 2021, people are going to be furious with beach closures. Because Jones is going to be impacted most frequently. They're all going to be impacted. But it's going to take us years to figure out some modeling on this. And, DPH has been on some of these emails where we've tried to get a discussion going for equity. And, why are your beaches closed, Dartmouth, and New Bedford, yours aren't? I don't know. But, DPH should be stepping up on this as well and saying, here's the policy and, in conjunction with these regs. That's not happening either. So this is an opportunity to talk about it, because, it's the end of January, but it'll be June before we know it. And I think we have to, look at how we want to respond to this plan, because I'm afraid that with DEP being this wastewater section in Boston, they approved the plan that, I identified some issues about with the draft plan. They didn't address it with us. And I have no faith that if I put comments in writing to them on this final plan, that they're going to even give it the time of day. Because they haven't given us the time of day, despite our request for a meeting, going back to July when I first emailed Billy, and then when she was promising us meetings in September and October, and now, face to face and nothing.
Comments?
Yes, Mr. Michaud, I just looked back in my notes, and we had talked about this months ago. And the biggest concern to me is that at that time, New Bedford was not giving us the information immediately. They knew that they had a 24-hour window, and so very late in that 24th hour, they would let us know, which meant that our residents were swimming in that filthy water, not only at Jones Beach, but also at Anthony's Beach and the beach next door to that. It's a problem for our residents.
We are getting those sooner now. And pretty much what, my opinion is, if it rains,
Don't
then it's
swim.
discharged.
Right.
Right.
Guaranteed,
Don't go swimming.
guaranteed.
Well, it's not just
But we
swimming.
still need those
Right.
signs to be placed, because there are times of the year when our marine waters are still being actively used. And these regs do not have a time frame like the bathing beach season, which is only 12 weeks long. We know that people take polar plunges.
Right. Our fishing, shell fishing.
Yes. Walking the coastline, kids picking shells.
Well, the sign also, based on the permit, says it also includes boating.
Correct.
So if I,
It's an advisory on that
I understand.
component of it. I will give leeway. There was a lot that is in these regulations that was put into statute. That came out of the statute, the law. So they can't water down the statute. And one example is that they said if 911 is available, they want you to do reverse 911. If anyone here has subscribed to the New Bedford's notification system, they would burn up the lines. It's just, there's been a couple times, I want to say probably 20 emails or more in a single day. Can you imagine using reverse 911 for that? Because they're going to do it for every single sensor that's going off. And now the new system that they have goes off multiple times to give you updates.
The problem, the sign says no swimming, no boating, no walk, so if they're all no's, whether one's worse than the other, doesn't matter. And after a while, then you don't pay attention to any of it.
Yeah, the regulation's coined as an advisory. There's
Right.
nothing of like a police state to this where if you do, then you're going to get arrested. It's an advisory. So it's, in other words, it's these waters can be impacted by SSOs or CSO discharges, and here is the access to the website where you can access it and learn now in relative real time whether or not there was a discharge or when the last discharge
How many
was.
from members?
Have we ever tried to get a hold of the mayor?
Ideally, somebody. They
all
know
work
they
for
know
him.
our position.
Right.
I got a call from the mayor's office early on. They said, "Why are you doing all of this?" I said, "The regulations." The public information officer that called me, kind of stumbled a little bit, and I said, "Here's the regulations. Here's the citation. I'll have to call you back." Haven't heard from him since.
I think we should get a hold of the mayor.
He won't call me back.
Maybe he'll call us back.
I think it's important for us to move on this. As Chris said, it may be January, but June will be here. Later on our agenda tonight, we're talking about the online beach sticker sales to be started in February. This is some information that should be given to everyone that gets a beach sticker.
Well, it's no secret why we're not getting response from the city, because they don't have a solution. So what are they going to tell us?
We need those signs first and foremost.
Well, the thing is, you're talking about notification of a problem as opposed to how do we solve the problem? And we can't do it alone, and we're getting avoided by the perpetrator, which is the city of New Bedford. And they have their own problems with that, and they're not facing it either, because that entire cove is doing the same thing all along the city.
Right, they have their West Beach
Yeah.
would be impacted, that entire
It is,
shoreline.
yeah, it is. That same notice should be out in those same waters, but they're not. So they're going to call us back. They're not even notifying their own residents. And that's the problem.
We certainly have the ability to have those movable signs relocated near our beaches on the, for the summer. But it would be, we need to make sure that our residents are aware that when they see that, it's not a time to go to the beach and get your kids in the water.
Mr. McDonald?
I see that written comments are by February 11th. How are we going to respond? How are we going to respond to this so that the town is protected? How can we respond?
There's a defect in the application that they said that they contacted local boards of health. They did not contact the Dartmouth Board of Health. That they're supposed to put up signs, they're exempt from putting up signs under one provision if it's a bathing beach, but that bathing beach, that only applies when the bathing beach is in operation. We also have another location that isn't a bathing beach. Thus the need for them to contact us. So,
Is this
Well,
a
then our
time?
response would be that we are asking that anytime that there's a CSO, an overflow, that the city contact us immediately and to provide adequate signage. I mean,
they contact us.
I mean,
We're
it's-
getting really good notifications now.
now, yeah, but I mean, that, this needs to be done on a year-round basis, not just because, somebody's gonna enjoy or try to enjoy the beach, sometime in July or June. I mean, it's not addressing the problem. Okay, so we're notified that New Bedford dumped crap in the water.
Literally.
Hey, whoa, hey, we've been notified. Why is the crap still being dumped in the water?
Right, I think our meeting with the mayor
so
is to
I-
ask what is the plan to address the
Fall River's
infrastructure
got-
of that area.
Fall River's got,
want to know prior to
Fall River's
it,
got
not after
caves built into the city so that they have the overflow there. Okay? Why can't New Bedford do the same damn thing? I think the city of Fall River got money from the state and from the feds to do that.
This is a,
So why can't New Bedford do that?
this is a multi-million-dollar solution that they don't want to face.
I think
And
Fall
little-
Rivers was generated by a lawsuit.
Right.
Well, there you go.
That was going to be my next question, and I think that they have no interest because they don't want to face the solution, which is untenable and expensive. And their solution is not to tell their residents what the problem is. So we're going to tell them to give us the notice when they don't want to even tell their own residents. So maybe this is time for some more legal action, discussion with the legal department.
Yeah, maybe.
And in your packet is a draft letter to DEP, but also CC's our legislators and the city of New Bedford asking for a meeting with all of us to review this. It lists the number of issues Chris has articulated tonight in detail that the town has with the CSO notifications and DEP's approval of the temporary order. So if the board approves, I'll send that letter out.
I would say we send the letter out and we expect a response within 2 weeks. And if we don't, then we go to our legal department and we should take action.
With all due respect, I
Yes, sir.
wouldn't request a meeting, I demand a meeting.
Well,
If the word request is in there, get rid of it. Demand. Period. You know, this is just, this is, I don't want to go through another dog and pony show, okay? I mean, yeah.
the reality is it's illegal. If it becomes a legal issue, it becomes a long-term
Then they will
dog
postpone
and
it.
pony show to try to get something done. And here we are trying to just get notification we have a problem, which we already know because every time it rains, it's a problem. Right.
I would hope so.
Yep, that's what we got to start with, and I think that's going to require some legal action on our part, at least to know how serious we are, but you're absolutely correct. Okay?
One concern is that if, you're looking at a hard line on a meeting request, there is a limited public comment period that is, I think it's 30 days from when they submitted their final plan. So I want to say it's around February 12th.
February 11th.
February 11th. So we should be looking to make sure that we meet and give ourselves enough time to comment
Okay.
if they're opposed to fulfilling the basic obligations in accordance with the
It's
regs.
clear the time is ended for waiting to get a response. We'll have to force a response and get a multi-agency, coalition together to get it done. If not, it's our legal department,
And
okay?
once again, it's a comment period that fits DEP's,
Yes, it does.
Right.
not the general
Well, that's
public.
their strategy, so why should it be any different on this one?
I will give them a little credit on this one. They did mention back in the fall that, they would be coming out in January and you'd have a 30-day, so I can give them credit once in a while.
Oh, yeah, well, okay.
In our letter, our last line says, "Please contact me at your earliest convenience to coordinate a date for the meeting." Do we set a meeting date?
Well, we will now. We'll demand that we'll
Right.
set the date.
And say, we invite you to attend a meeting on this day at
Let's
that
see who
time.
shows.
There will be a
Yeah.
meeting, right? Okay.
See if this really piques their interest. Because when we held our regional meeting, it was nice to see some area towns.
Yeah, but not New Bedford.
No.
No, we didn't see.
I'm gonna end this discussion by saying that all of us here in the room and listening can understand that we have an advocate in Chris Michaud that understands the issue. He expresses it well, and he's behind us, and I think he's an incredible asset to our town.
He absolutely is.
And I think he deserves a Okay?
Thank you. It's a team effort.
Okay,
And
team effort.
I don't want to be on the wrong side of Chris Michaud.
No. Don't get mad at me, Chris. That's right, okay.
He doesn't watch a lot of football.
Okay. We ready to move on?
Yes.
Neither did I
Take a
yesterday.
break for a minute? Thank you all for coming.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, a little sad about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the DPW water meter upgrade status update.
Try to keep this brief. I know you have a had a heavy agenda this evening.
Who are you?
Tim Barber, Director of
Thank you.
Public
Okay.
Works. I've been asked to come before you and update you on the cellular meter endpoint conversion for all of our water meters. The town put together a bid and a contract with the help of Weston and Sampson. We bid the project, and the project has been awarded to Bay State Wind Supply Company. We met with Bay State Wind Supply Company on January 11th for a pre-construction meeting. Discussed sequence of operation, scheduling, their approach to inside meters versus outside meters, purchasing the supply of the meter endpoints, 8,800 of them, storage of the meters endpoints, as well as storage of the meters to be discarded, and including community outreach and press release. They are scheduled to start installing the meter endpoints on April 1st and plan to continue throughout December 1st, 2023. We know there'll be some stragglers along, and we'll be sending multiple notices to residents. Hopefully they'll let us in. We believe most of the outdoor meters will be up front and done pretty quickly. It's the indoor meters with getting residents to let the crews inside to do the work. And they'll have a video, photos of the company, and we'll be able to place that on the website. And maybe DCTV can do some outreach as well.
Questions?
To date, our water department staff has installed about 235 commercial and seasonal cellular meter endpoints on their own, and they'll continue to install the commercial and seasonal endpoints until they're complete. And as new customers come in and come online, they'll install those as
I
well.
have two questions. Approximate time it takes to actually do it, to change the meter?
The meter
Is it-
endpoint, I don't know, in and out, it's about an hour,
Okay.
45 minutes, yeah.
And as far as IDing, people knocking the door, we're here to go inside your house in terms of their preparedness for an ID and let people know who they are?
Yes, they'll have IDs.
They've done this before.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else?
Can
any
we
comment?
notify the residents?
Yeah, the residents, there'll be a public notice, and then the residents will be notified at each residence, whether they're going to be working on the outside or in the inside.
Correct. Right. Yeah. All right. Maybe we can utilize one of these signs, portable signs.
Yeah, that would be
Got a
great.
nice,
Yeah.
got a nice electronic sign out here saying,
Yeah.
meter swap.
Especially in the beginning when it first starts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's the cost of the project?
2.4 million.
Gee,
That's a lot of meters.
that's all?
That's it.
9,000 meters, okay.
Just to purchase the endpoints is over $1 million.
Okay.
I had requested an update because this is just a project that's been sitting out there, and I just wanted to know what was going on. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on in town.
Oh, there is.
There's I mean, the amount of things that are going on as far as different departments doing different things at different times, but something, this is just letting everybody know, hey, we're not sitting on our thumbs, this is what's going on, and this is why it was important that I wanted to get this out. It wasn't because, to put any kind of pressure on you guys, but it was just something, hey, this is what we did, this is what was voted on, this is the progress that we're making, and this is how we're doing it.
So
And
it's moving quick.
the next update that we should be getting from the DPW and Mr. Carrero would be the quarterly billing process.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Brooks?
I do have a question. What are the benefits to the homeowner
So-
of these new meetings?
So one is the quarterly billing, where you won't have to wait 6 months for a larger bill, where it'll be broken up quarterly.
Okay,
Two, there'll be an application that you can subscribe to and get real-time data on your water use, and set parameters for, over usage, whether it's a leak, you can get alerted rather than waiting till your bill comes out. And along with the quarterly billing, right now with biannual billing, we can only go back 90 days on a read. And if a resident is concerned with the bill, and by the time they call our office, you usually can only go back about 60 days into their usage period, where the quarterly billing and the use of this app, it'll all be real time, and all the data will be available.
How do you feel about the quality of the product? Oh, excuse me. The quality of the product?
Yeah, that's
Like it.
good. Yeah, we can go on to the software now and look at different usages. Still working out the communication with
That's okay.
with the software and inputting it into Munis. So once that's all worked out, I think it'll be great.
You mentioned
It's automatic billing.
8,800 meter endpoints, so that's not all of our residents. So how are you deciding which meters need to be updated?
Well, that was the amount of residential meters at the time of the contract.
Okay.
Not all of our residents, but the residents that are connected to water. All of our commercial are large meters, and we're handling those, and all of our seasonal meters, our department's handling those as well. You have to go into meter pits and install the endpoints either into a meter pit or put a unit outside the
That's
meter
what
pit.
you're doing, or your department's doing. So these will be, the meters that are going to be installed by Bay State are going to the residents who have water.
Correct.
So
Correct.
all the other residents. So everybody should be getting them.
Not wells.
Town water, not the-
Town water, right.
Town water, on municipal water, yes.
Be hard to build the wells, people using wells, yeah.
Right.
That'll be next.
Luckily, the
mean-
rainy season's helping them.
I can attest to getting notified about leak alerts. As a matter of fact, I got an alert today from the North Kingstown Water Department regarding a couple of leaks that they detected. They're on a quarterly billing basis. And they get us that notification right away, so I'm able to send that notification to my maintenance staff to have them go check it out, whether it's, I mean, sometimes we do have a leak, and it's our leaks, when it happens, it's Old Navy housing, and, we gotta go under a slab.
Yeah.
So that's not the fun part,
This would have been very helpful when I had 3 teenage daughters taking showers at home.
Well, that's a
Their
different.
alerts would be
Turned
going
them
off
right
all
off.
the time.
Oh, showers, okay.
Right. I
Okay.
mean, it's important because sometimes there are households that have an extra basement, an extra bathroom downstairs that, it's there whenever, but they don't realize maybe the toilet is running,
Leaking.
or water's running, they don't realize it. And that's where some of the problems come from, but at least they get notified, I mean, I deal with a quarterly system, I deal with, personally, a biannual system, but I also deal with a monthly system with the city of New Bedford, with 3 properties that I take care of. So it's, I wish New Bedford was a lot cheaper, let's put it that way.
Okay, anything else, Tim?
No, I agree with your comment, and we've had issues where, people had a bathroom upstairs or in an in-law or something or a basement that didn't get used often, and it got used and leaked for the next 90 days, and they get this high bill, and unfortunately it's hard to do anything at that point. So I think with this app and the alerts, you'll be able to take care of it right away.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks for taking the time to come to talk to us.
Absolutely, my
All
pleasure.
set here?
By the way, just tell your staff, the guys that go into the meter pits, tell them thank you, because I know what it's like to go in one of those pits, and I've done storage pits, at my property, so it's not a pleasant thing. Just tell the guys that we really appreciate them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We always make sure we have 2 gentlemen work together, because sometimes they get
Yes.
up into their waist, and they have a hard time getting out, so
Yeah.
I make sure that in little pits, we have 2 people in there.
Yeah.
So
Great.
it's tough.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Been there, done that.
the town has approved a new meter pit now that is on a spring where you don't have to go in no more. You pull it up, make it work, and set it back down again. So it's going to make life easier as
Okay.
you
Yeah,
upgrade.
it's same thing. We did that with the property in North Providence, where it was, we had to pump it out every single time the meter needed to be read. We changed it out. They didn't quite like it, but we paid for it, so, you know, they didn't care. So,
Thank you very much, fellas.
Thank you. Have a great
Appreciate
night.
you waiting for us. Okay, next is the Assistant Town Administrator Interview Team. Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, so in the past, when we've hired certain department heads, we've had the select board involved on the search committee. And so in line with the assistant town administrator position, we've advertised the position. We have applicants to review. And I was suggesting that we have 2 select board members be included in that process to present a final candidate to the entire board.
Okay.
So I would need 2 members.
I'll
do it.
yeah, I'll keep an eye on Stanley.
Okay,
Stanley and Sean, all right.
that's all you need for that?
That is it.
Okay. The compensation package for the,
The same as you get now.
excellent. Okay.
Oh, it's not double?
Oh, just double it.
I'll double it.
Math, next, excuse me. Pathways Committee resignation, Thomas Pratt. Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, Mr. Pratt had submitted his resignation from the Pathways Committee. We need the board to vote to approve the resignation, and we will advertise an opening on our website.
Okay, make a motion to accept his resignation with regret and to forward a letter thanking him for his service.
Second.
Second. Any discussion or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, opposed? I hear none.
Can we post a vacancy on the town website, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service, Mr. Pratt. And please stay healthy. Next would be Arthur Thibodeau, passing recognition. Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, I just wanted to make the board aware of Mr. Thibodeau's passing. His obituary is included in the packet.
He was a very accomplished man, reading the obituary. I knew him, but I didn't know everything he had done. In fact, everyone that you included, both he and Mr. Garibaldi, just how fortunate our town was that they gave of their time
Yep,
to Dartmouth.
Exactly.
Well, and also added to that would be, in case of Mr. Thibodeau, that the recognition he got from Gloria Bancroft, who worked with him for years. Gloria, there's nobody better than Gloria Bancroft to either work with or talk about someone, and she just could not say enough about him. And we have work to do to finish up that project. And in his in his honor and memory, I think it's up to us to get that job done and do whatever it takes. And we're going to call on Mrs. Bancroft to try to follow it up and tell us what needs to be done. We'll try to give her full support. That's on the Cornell Pond issue. And we're going to call on Gloria and get that in order. Thank you again, Mr. Thibault. Rest in peace. Any comments there?
We'll all miss him.
And we'll send a note to the family?
Yes.
Do we need to vote on that?
No.
No, okay. And Lou Garibaldi, Lou passing his recognition as well. I served with Lou on Finance Committee for many years, and his resume has and always been incredibly impressive. He worked at some of the finest zoological and zoo organizations in the country.
Dedicated individual.
For sure.
Oh, my God.
And it
Took it
was a
very
privilege to
serious.
serve with Lou. He
Yeah.
was great. Gave a lot to the town. We send a note along to the family as well. Any comments? Anybody else? Thank you, Lou, and
I want to get my
rest in
beach
peace.
sticker.
Okay. Online beach sticker sales in February. We're going to put the booth down at Clark's Cove, I guess, huh?
Do you want me? I'll mention it. So as you know, last year, the park department started selling their beach stickers online.
Here, Mike. Thank you.
Um,
Excuse me.
No, that's fine. We had a lot of success in selling the stickers online. So this year, they want to announce it earlier to give people plenty of time to apply and get the stickers online because there's no need for them to come into town hall. So the park board voted last week to begin the online sales in February. We haven't set a date yet, but we will be sending out notifications on the website and the town hall sign in front when sticker sales are available to be done online.
Right?
So they can print this, where they're going to get the stickers?
it gets mailed to them. So we pushed that out last year on a trial basis. So it gets processed here, it gets mailed out to them. Takes a few days to get there. We're hoping that by allowing folks to get their stickers early in the season, that it takes the impact off of the, like when Mr. McDonald was out front during the pandemic, people were wrapped around the building 2 times. We're hoping, we issue over 4,500 stickers in a very short amount of time. So we're hoping that people really catch on to this and realize it's much easier for them, it's much easier for us, it's much easier for everyone if they just get the sticker at their leisure well before they need it. They're not rushing. As some of you know, the department's grown tremendously. There's a huge load during the summertime for the staff that's here. We're trying to reorganize and move some people around. We're trying to do things online that we can get online so we can use that staff elsewhere. So as we move toward this online sticker system, we're going to reduce the hours most likely that you can come in and get stickers in person. I mean, we want to push people toward the online because we need those people out in the field doing other work, not
The
here.
online process was super easy.
Yeah.
So I hope people even take advantage of it in February, long before the season starts, as you said. The sticker came within 3 days, I think.
It's about 3 days. That's usually what it takes, roughly.
And it was very easy.
We hope so. And it's as we move more people to online, we're going to offer the ability to get stickers in-house less often because we're going to utilize that staff elsewhere, which
Right.
means the days that we are open to get stickers in person, it's going to be an even longer line. So really, the best
Right.
bet is to do the online and just get it now, get it out of the way. You're good for a year, and you don't have to worry about it. That's kind of the goal. So
And this year's prices?
this year's prices right now is same as last year, and the board already voted that. So that's $40.
That's a value.
30. Yeah.
That's a value.
Yeah, same as last year. Yep.
Just want to make sure because, it's just hitting a lot of people, so they're already getting, I can already see it.
I was trying to remember if the board had voted it yet, but they had. We had them vote that already, so before Becky starts issuing them. So prices staying the same as last
We'll
year.
set the date and get them up on the signs, and it'll be up on the website.
Yep. Yeah. Sure.
Any other comments about it, Tim?
Nope. I think just hope everybody uses it. It's a great way to go. We're moving forward with that stuff. So we're gonna try to do recreation the same way. We're gonna try to get some of the rec stuff online too.
Wonderful.
Well, Tim's selling it short. So Tim's been working hard to have a new online recreation programming that allows for scheduling, signing up, notifications of all the programming that they're going to be doing this summer. So he's been working hard to coordinate that with Becky. And also Tim is going to install a new point of sale system in the bucket, which is going to be...
we are. So, I do, Becky does a tremendous amount of work during the summertime, for sure. I don't know where I'd be without her, really. Truthfully, everybody that knows what goes on knows that that's the case. The fact is, she needs to be out there. She needs to be overseeing these rec programs. They've grown tremendously. The demands on this rec staff have grown tremendously. She's the program coordinator. She should be out there. She doesn't need to be sitting downstairs answering the phone. Anybody can do that. So we need to get her out there. She needs to be. In doing that, we need to try to get some of the stuff that she does that we can do online. And the online program for recreation, for example, that, all the binders of the emergency contacts and the health forms for the kids that are campers, that'll all be on an iPad down there where the kids can just pull it up and find the emergency contact number for the people, for the parents, and everything's right there. That kind of comes with it. And, the bucket, the same thing, the POS system for the bucket, we really want to try to get that going. It's been kind of a long haul. But, we served over 14,000 customers last year. So that's a lot of people in a short amount of time.
So how much is the percentage over the year before?
What was that?
Percentage gained over the year before?
It was a little over 8,000 the year before. So it was a pretty good jump last year.
And what was last year?
Well, a little over 14,000.
Wow, that's terrific.
So, well,
Little more than last
we
year.
increased our hours too last year. We were open later. So that's a lot of ice cream we
You have a
pumped
good
out
product, too.
And, Becky and I were really involved in that last year, kind of overseeing kind of how that was going, and we saw a few things, and one of them is the point of sale. We just really saw the need firsthand of the point of sale, so we really need that.
Pay for itself.
The kids are moving fast in there, and they're hustling, and, they need the screens to be able to see where the orders are. struggling, try to read each other's handwriting. That's just not cutting it. So the point of sale will help with that. It'll help with efficiency. It'll help with ordering. It'll help with accounting. It's just
Also, the accuracy of ringing, you charge every time what you should be charging.
right. Yeah, right. So it's good. It's good, and everything's heading in the right direction. I should say that. So.
As a positive, I think that by putting the recreation online, parents are going to be used to uploading their documents because that's part of the registration process for the school system. And then every year, parents can upload more documents or changes of documents. So I think when they're asked to do that, it won't be as difficult as if you were the only person asking for those documents.
And the good news is once you get into the system, you're in there. So if your child does summer camp next year here, you make that profile, you're in there. If they want to do a fall theater program or if they want to do one of Becky's winter programs, they're already in the system, so they just pull that back up and they register that program. All the information.
And having stood in the line on May 1st, I think this is a great alternative.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that can't be there on May 1st, and the rec program is wonderful, but you can only accommodate so many.
Correct.
So many kids.
Can only do so many people, but still.
Right.
Great job, Tim. Thanks so much for waiting.
Yeah.
It was a long
Is that
meeting
your
to
number,
wait.
Stanley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the bucket for lunch, so I'll be happy.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks.
Hang on, Tim.
Oh, no. Well, Tim knows. So I just want to give some credit to Chad Deschamps, our system analyst here that works in our office. He works with our online permitting quite a bit, but his job is really to work with, in this case, Tim and Becky and the vendors for, the point of sale system, the programming, and also the online sticker sales. And he really coordinates a lot of this with Tim and Becky to make it work. So he does quite a bit around here behind the scenes, but he deserves some credit for kind of coordinating all this and
Very
keeping
nice.
it moving forward. So.
Yeah, he does. Great job.
Good job.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks once again for waiting. Okay, next we are at the fire district discussion, and I'd like to briefly state the case that, from my point of view, is that we have had a number of workshops over the last 3, 4, and 5 months with Waterways, with FinCom. We will have one with ZBA coming up, and we had a discussion back in November about getting trying for the first time and many times, if ever, to get all fire districts together in one room till we can open up a discussion regarding efficiencies, safety, equipment, whatever where it takes us. This discussion is really only designed to talk about having the meeting, getting some dates together, and who we want to invite. And beyond that, then we can welcome all of them in the one room and we can have an open discussion. So I'd like to make sure that we canvass the group and we agree that it's time to have it.
We had a couple here in the back. They didn't hang around.
I mean, I think it's important, number one, you invite the prudential committees of each 3 districts, and you invite the
chief.
The chief.
Chiefs, yeah.
Yep.
Chief, and open it up to, his
And their choice.
lieutenants or captains or whatever.
Yep.
And of course, if, the fire, it's an open meeting, so, if anybody else wants to show up
Right.
during the meeting, that's fine, but at least for the panel, it should be the prudential committees and the chiefs.
If they want to bring more than less,
Right.
why not?
I think that's a great idea.
Agreed? Okay. And this is all about our entire system, how it works, and in my mind, it's a way for us to then set up what I would call a subcommittee who can meet, and we can put that structure together to go out and study our fire, our safety in the town, what we spend, how many people we have, and they can then come back with a recommendation, whatever it is, because it's an open book.
Well, it's basically, the intent that I always thought it should be is how can we improve what the town does for the districts and how the districts can improve what they do for the town.
Yep.
That's basically what it is. It's not any kind of precursor to talk about a town-run fire department.
I would have to say that.
Maybe that's somewhere down the line.
I would have
but
to
not right
say
now.
that at this point in time, I 100% agree with you. What it is, the existing department, maybe some structural changes and maybe some comparisons to other towns, and they come up with the recommendations, because these are the qualified people to do it, not us.
I think we also need to know how they are how they are able to meet the needs of their
District.
district, because they've got these 3 districts, and what is on the horizon. I know some have building projects that they're discussing, others, what does it look like for their community involvement? What are they doing? I know some have events that they do. They're involved in the education of the students with fire safety, et cetera.
I look at this committee to be made up of a select board, FinCom, our administration, all these committees, and then do a real comprehensive report and come back to us, whatever that might be, so that our people in town can make an informed decision about whatever the recommendation may make up for.
So this will set a precedent. I don't believe in my time that we've ever had any.
It's never been done.
Good. And
No,
I think
that's why I
that
said set a precedent.
I would put the town-run fire department in the same category as bringing a mayor here next week. I think that these two will not happen. It's not that this discussion is all about.
Not for a while.
Right,
Okay?
okay.
Do we need to vote on anything like this, or do we want to send a letter out, or sample out, or what's the best way to handle
I'll
that?
contact the districts and give them some of the upcoming select board dates and see what
Okay.
works for them, and then we'll coordinate.
I think we'll do this as a kind of a workshop type before the meeting starts.
Yeah, exactly, like we did with the others.
Okay. And I had conversations with each chief, and I assured them that this is all about, being objective and being fair and being open, and really trying to make a better town-run, safety in town. Okay? And can we, okay, so that, done with that one?
All right,
Okay. You all set for a town administrator update, Sean? You made your notes there? Want to move on to something else in the meantime, or?
Yes, no.
Okay.
So we can do an update. So as you mentioned, the letter, the Title V comment letter has been submitted to DEP. As the board alluded to, you organized the regional meeting. We didn't talk too much about that, but that was very well attended by a number of towns in all of Bristol County. It was almost 40 people attended, and it was a really insightful group, well informed, and I thought the discussion was great. I think the board did too. The result of that meeting was drafting a letter from the select board to DEP and the legislator and the governor, which we sent registered, voicing concerns of not only the town of Dartmouth but also a number of the communities. We shared that letter with all of the communities in all of Bristol County, including the member communities that attended the meeting. Many of them used that letter to forward on to DEP and the governor's office. Many others used it as a basis to draft their own letter, and others had drafted a letter, but they attached it with it. So all of the communities were very grateful to the select board for organizing that regional meeting. They contacted me en masse to let us know. So there's a collaborative effort going on with a consensus with the way DEP has been proposing these changes. So I just wanted to share that with the board.
I'd like to just quickly mention, based on that this is a collaborative effort from every member of this board and how it worked out. And as a team, I think it all worked out in a great way. I appreciate it.
All right. Next, our community services outreach team. You've seen them in here in previous meetings. They worked with the Greater Bristol County Attleboro Taunton Coalition to End Homeless, which is GBCatch is the acronym, to conduct a homelessness point-in-time count. This happened last week. It's mandated by HUD and is vital to providing services and grants to communities. This is the first year Dartmouth participated in it. The organizers of the event are Matt Dansereau from the COA, Dolores Joseph, Donna Farias, Maura Reimer, our town nurse, and Officer Brandon Batiste. I also attended and helped with the point-in-time count, and I can tell you it was very informative to be out there and having discussions with the people involved in the day-to-day basis out on the street, and also talking to some of the homeless in the community as to why they're in the situations they're in. The groups that were out there that dealt with the homeless were incredible. They were very sensitive to the issues, concerns. They brought a number of toiletry goods, T-shirts, socks, things for the people that they came across. I really can't give enough credit to Matt, Dolores, Donna, Maura, and Officer Brandon Baptiste, who's out there quite a bit dealing with the homeless. All of them, their level of professionalism was really commendable. So it was great to be part of that. I just wanted to elicit that to the board because I say this many times, but there's a lot of great staff here in Dartmouth. I've been around a long time, and the staff here really care about the community and want to be involved and want to help. So I just really wanted to pass that along.
Is this the same group that's doing the collection of coats and hats? And
Well,
mittens?
Dolores is organizing that, but
Okay.
they all are. So our community services outreach team is multiple departments. What they're up to next is they're going to be scheduling a meeting internally to discuss options to present to the select board for use of the opioid funding that we're receiving. So when that
I sat in that meeting today, and this is one, these are just incredible people.
they're really do a good job.
And they understand the responsibility of what they're doing. It's the passion and compassion there is fantastic.
Human Resources, the search committee that's required as part of the charter for the Director of Budget and Finance has met twice now. We'll be scheduling interviews upcoming. Then you heard me mention earlier about the Assistant Town Administrator positions. We've had a number of applicants that we want to present, that we want to start to interview. We've advertised for the Director of Libraries replacement. As you know, Lynn Antunes will be retiring March 1st. And we've filled the Assistant Town Planner position. Ross Huddy, C-U-D-D-Y, started last week, and he's been a great collaborative addition already, so he's doing well.
Much needed, yeah.
We are continuing to prepare the FY24 budget. Nearly all the departments have submitted their draft budgets and capital requests on time and most early. So we're the Interim Director of Budget and Finance, Gary Carrero, and I are starting to review those budgets. The Open Space and Recreation Plan has been finalized after a public workshop on January 17th and the final Open Space and Recreation Committee meeting on the 24th. So SERPED is in the process of just finalizing all the information from those last two meetings. And that is all I have right now.
Great.
That's enough.
Thank you for that. Old business, anything to talk about? The Bliss Corner?
We talked about Bliss Corner tonight with the EPA's request for the new location, Lake Nokichoke, no new updates. Municipal broadband, we issued the request for proposals. We have to reissue those because when you issue a request for proposal, the financial proposal needs to be separate completely. And there was an oversight on our end and not including that wording in the RFP. So when the proposals were submitted, they included the price proposal. So we had to, we can't consider those. We reissued it, but we'll put it on a faster timeline. So
Sean, do you know where that's in Fairhaven? Any activity going on over there in that regard?
I haven't heard anything or read anything recently.
Thank you. Excuse me.
And then Title V amendments you heard tonight.
We sure did.
So, that's.
We're going to have a reading of the 1,200 pages after Moby Dick's done. We're going to go over that one. Okay. Okay, all set. Thank you. We have minutes to approve. Need a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of November 14th, November 28th, December 5th, and December 19th.
Second.
A second. Any comments on the minutes of those 4 meetings? All in favor of accepting those minutes, please say aye.
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 I will abstain from voting on December 19th as I was not in attendance.
Okay, thank you.
You're gonna brag about your vacation.
Okay, those minutes are approved with 1 abstention on December 19th. Any comments from the Select Board on any other issues?
I do have one issue.
Go right ahead, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. McGinnis, sealer weights and measures, where are we on that right now?
Yes, so we actually have been going back and forth. Do you want all the history? I can give you a lot of history. on
I
this,
know
so.
there's a lot of history. Let's just say it's been difficult getting somebody to ascertain to get the position.
We're in the process. We actually have been meeting with our retired gentleman that provides services for other communities. We're in the process of drafting a contract for him to start to do work in the town. I'm presenting an option this year as part of the budget to incorporate the sailor in another position that I'll present, so we'll have a more permanent position. So we should.
Combining two jobs into.
Yes.
Okay.
So, we should have that permanently for FY '24, but in the short term, we're working out a contract with the gentleman to provide services.
It's all over social media.
Oh, is it? Well, this has been going on. This is a mandate from the state, but they don't provide any staff.
Of course not.
In the past, they've provided the staff when the towns have not had that. There's been a number of sailors and weights and measures that have retired over the last 5 years.
So no one is currently getting a stipend for the position.
Correct.
And not fulfilling their duties.
Correct. So they need to be certified. In the past, we've had the building commissioners doing that. I mean, I think you've seen with Joe Braga here, the building, it's too much work for them to do, and it's not a good use of their own time. So we were trying to partner with other communities. We contacted the state. The state, said, originally told us to direct people to the state, so we were doing that. And then this past summer, the state, I think we're getting too many requests, so they told us not to send people there that way anymore. So we've been working out a solution. This has been on our radar for FY '24, but in the short term, we found somebody to kind of take over in the meantime.
Anybody have comments? Yes, Mr. Nicholson.
I drive by that property on Reed Road every day, 5 days, 6 days a week. I noticed one of the homeowners closed the gate, so it was open for almost all this time. Closed the gate, there's no entrance, no way to get in there, unless when they get out, they go out, if they ever go out. They must unlock it and go out and lock it up again, but it is horrific. Absolutely horrific. It's terrible. It's my stomach churns when I drive by there.
Try living near there.
No, I know that. You live not that far away. It is out of control.
3 months from now, you're not gonna see the problem.
Well, but it's
But
there.
it's still there.
But we all know it's there.
Right.
This is the time to actually go out there, take pictures, and see what the heck's going on with these crackerjacks. It's horrible.
Sometimes,
Horrible.
sometimes the wheels of government do move slowly, sometimes they don't.
Horrible, horrible.
I can tell you, we continue to work on that issue.
Yes.
I'm not
Oh, we
saying
know
we're
that.
not
We know
doing,
that.
you're not doing your job.
It's just a kind of a little bit
So
of
if
a
I see it,
frustrating thing.
and, I'm obviously looking, but you can't not see it.
I thought you close your eyes when you drive.
Yeah.
I do,
No,
but
don't do
and
that,
then I
yeah.
pray. But,
Maybe the wheels of government will wield
well, we hope so,
A-
because it's out of control.
a weed whacker
Out of
in
control.
the near future.
I think you need more than a weed whacker.
Ms. Brooks, any comments?
One question, I had a member of the community ask me about a crosswalk. If a crosswalk they feel is needed at a location, how do they pursue that?
Safety officer, DPW.
Okay.
Safety officer.
I would suggest they submit a request to our office, and we generally have a team, the safety officer, the DPW, and if
If
any
I get a
departments are
stipend, I
involved.
could be the cross guard.
Don't worry about it. Make sure traffic's not coming through. You can do the weights and measures as well.
Yeah, might as well.
Mr.
familiar
Gracie?
with
Hello.
Okay,
No comments.
okay. I would just like to finally, I know we just finished this issue up before, but I would like to thank the board and the efforts we're going to make into the fire district issue, because I think it's something that was going to be a good thing for the town, but in assuring all Prudential Committee members, all employees of the fire departments that our intention is to be open, to be inclusive, and to let the facts speak for themselves. And we appreciate the cooperation going forward from the 3 Prudential districts.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay,
Second down there.
we have 2 seconds. Okay, great. Any questions or comments before we adjourn and vote? All in favor?
Our next meeting is February 13th.
Thank you. That is correct.
Okay.
I'll have Valentine's for you guys.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Please say
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Say none. Meeting adjourned.